Welcome to the Mildura Weekly, and joining me today is social worker Metaxia Tsoukatos. Metaxia, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, John.
Well, look, congratulations are in order. You were recently a finalist in the Victorian Social Worker of the Year awards. Tell us about that and your work.
Yeah, I was very humbled to be nominated. It was an inaugural an award, so the first time that the Australian Association of Social Workers had called for this, and I was humbled also because I was nominated, unbeknownst to myself, by my colleagues that also work in rural social work practice outside of Mildura.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great field of endeavour and it deserves recognition. And of course, you started your career, I think, with community child protection. Might have a different name these days. And of course, you're a graduate from La Trobe University. You have 2 degrees in that field.
Yeah. So I actually studied at Merdine High School back then. So I grew up in a rural community, and then I did go to Melbourne because at that time social work wasn't available locally like it is now, and I studied at Mildura for 5 years. As you said, I did my social science degree there, and then I finished my 2 years of a social work degree there. And then I came back to work in Mildura, and I started back in child protection, where I worked in child protection and in for the government in that area, including disability services, for about 8 years. I also worked in Bendigo as well for Community Services Victoria. And then since then I've kind of been practising as a social worker for just over 30 years, and I love what I do. And I think the things that I really enjoy about social work is, and I think it's something that being in a rural area you have more opportunities. So I've worked across a whole lot of different areas. I have worked, as you said, starting off in child protection, but also working in disability services. And then when I left the government offices after 8 years, I went and worked in a non-government organisation for 19 and a half years. And during that time I worked in a whole lot of different areas. I worked in mental health, in community-based mental health services. I was involved in the Mildura setting up the Mildura Family Relationship Centre, and then I worked in family services and a whole lot of other opportunities during that time in both practice and in management roles. And more recently I worked in family violence area, and then more recently for the last 18 months I've been the manager of the Mallee Orange Door, which is a new initiative by government in response to the Royal Commission into Family Violence and the review of family services reform as well.
Yes, well, of course, a challenging area, and unfortunately Mildura sits high on the rankings with domestic violence and family violence. Which is unfortunate. So a challenging area to work in, and it's, I think, an area that you'd probably like to encourage people to think about as a career. While it is challenging, it would be very rewarding.
Absolutely. I think it is challenging, but I think, I wouldn't have been doing it for 30 plus years, and I don't want to do anything else really. If it wasn't rewarding. I think there are lots of rewards. You have an opportunity to work on social justice issues, on human rights issues, to be an advocate for people, to help people at their lowest, and then when they're doing okay. So I think that there's a lot of reward in that. There are certainly lots of challenges, and sometimes people might not want your help. In a number of the roles that I've worked in, people haven't always wanted your help, but I think that's okay, because I think every contact you have with people, they might not want it now, but they might want it later on. So every contact is really important. And I think right at the beginning we talked about the awards. They were part of National Social Work Day, which falls next Tuesday, the 17th of March, across the world. And that's an opportunity to really recognise the importance and the important role that social work plays in our community. I kind of think back at my days at Merdine High School. I actually didn't know what a social worker was. At the time I was kind of thinking maths was what I was going to be interested in, and I was studying chemistry and physics, And one day this thing happened in my head that said, I don't care what angle the ball is going to hit the wall at and how fast it's going to come back. I'm really interested in understanding people, and that's what I kind of think started. Social work is all about people, the relationships, and understanding how people think and live their lives.
Well, you're obviously ideally suited to this field of endeavour, and we thank you for the work you do in our community, and look forward to catching up with you on another occasion.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you. And be sure to get all your local news at milduraweekly.com.au.